Hi everyone and welcome to SAMA. SAMA stands for Spooky Ask Me Anything, where we have a guest to talk about the area of expertise. We're into our 19th episode of SAMA. 19 episodes already, it's amazing. And this week we have Yole Raam with us. His subject is the essence, purpose of life here and now. So welcome to SAMA, Yole. It's so good to have you with us today. I hope I haven't lost.
Very happy to be with you.
Now, just before now, we're talking about a very good subject about really what is reality of life, and I was wondering whether we can continue this discussion because it's actually quite good. And we were discussing about phones and social media platforms. If you can just carry on from what we were discussing before, Yole, what your views are on this.
Yeah, see, we get born in the social environment that was created. We live all in artificial realities, either on the cell phone or created around us by society. So that means in different places on earth, we experience different cultures, different political systems, economic systems, organization of life generally. And traveling from city to city, from culture to culture, you see some differences and you see some same pattern repeating again and again. And for travelers who've been traveling a lot around the world, they definitely see those patterns, especially economic patterns that are repeated. Mainly systems that have been created to support certain individuals to gain money and support other individuals to provide the service with a little reward. So this is the economic pattern that we see all around the world. And then we have educational pattern that we see how the education in the schools is done. And in most of the cases, we find out that people are educated to serve, to be servants of those who have businesses, of course. And we find out that they get just information that is going to support the business. That means to provide service to other people who are creating a wealth, I would say. And so on. We find that the same pattern in the health industry around the world that is very similar in most of the countries. Social life varies definitely from country to country according to traditions and religious patterns of the places, but there are always certain elements that are repeating. For example, obedience, following certain rules, etc., that is implemented in the social patterns. That means fulfilling the needs of social environment. That means of the group. Group usually has a leader, and leader has set the system, and it is transferred from one generation to the next generation and so on. And there are some small changes happening over the centuries, but the same pattern is repeated. So next, don't want to go too much in this area, but I just want to say that pattern is repeated in many cultures, in many different life areas.
So, but it is an intriguing subject though, isn't it? So it's like a virtual reality that isn't a true reality. It's not a reflection of the real world.
Because this is, so all my teaching, I would say, if you can say teaching, whatever I do, whatever I talk with friends and people, and when I give courses, is usually how to get out of circle of dependence. To pay health insurance, we have to pay for our house, we have to pay this, we have to pay that, to keep kids in the school, etc. So we have to be in one place and follow certain rules of the environment. And that keeps us somehow enslaved into that certain pattern. So we don't have real freedoms. Even we get a lot of money. I mean, salary goes up and down in different positions, different places. We get a lot of money, but that still you have to be in one place, you have to perform, and you have to fulfill your social duties. That means you are not really free. Even
free.
you have a so-called higher income. The question is how to get out of that system of dependency.
Absolutely. Okay, well, the subject is the essence, purpose of life here and now. So how do we escape from this virtual reality that we're fed in our lifetime?
So the whole point of life comes to our inner happiness, as you said, because whatever we do in our life is to fulfill that inner need, to feel good. Either we alone or with family and with kids or extended family. It's always that personal feeling of being okay at the point. And that feeling of being okay is obviously disturbed many ways in our life. So the search for happiness continues, and the illusion of being happy when we have more money or when we live on one place or when we live on the other place, etc., continues. So that's the human quest through centuries. We are trying to change the system and be happier. We are trying to change, culture or religion. Many people change it from one religion to the other thinking, oh, I'm getting more happier with this other one. But it doesn't happen. So that's human search. And we are obviously on many different levels or many different steps of that search towards the truth of life.
Happiness means different things to different people. So I guess it's a personal quest.
Exactly. So, and that means on different levels of human existence, we get fulfillment of that, that level of happiness. But then as soon as we get one car that is new and that's good and comfortable and fast and whatever we want, a good color, a design, after a few weeks, we start feeling very normal and we start having more desires. And then we believe, oh, if I get that other car that somebody else has, or we have seen a new car that is electric, for example, and we say, oh, that will make me really happy. So we start wasting our life working towards that next goal, and it takes years or half a year, it doesn't matter how long, but eventually we get that goal fulfilled. We get that beautiful house, that beautiful place that we wanted, and within few weeks or few months, it becomes just normal part of life, and we start feeling some other happiness will come from some other place because that old goal doesn't make us happy anymore.
I think many people go on holidays. They have perhaps one holiday a year, and they'd spend most of the year saving up for their holiday, which I assume will be their happiness. And then they go out and experience the happiness, and then they go back to the grind of working. But to go on holiday, especially overseas trips, I guess, takes money. What would your suggestion be to people that are in that loop? How can they escape that loop and experience happiness during the year rather than just at one specific point in time?
Organizing our life probably would be the main point of our focus. Organizing life so that we can experience happiness every day and eventually every moment. That's a goal of every yogi, actually, to keep happiness or samadhi or satori or whatever we would call that state of peak experience, if we go by psychological terms. Peak experience is something that the genius people are experiencing most of the time. That's when they create. Or sports people are experiencing when they are performing the best in their game. So it's nothing really secret or magical or difficult to experience. It's a matter of focus. When you focus on making money, eventually you'll start making money. When you focus on making art, you eventually start producing good art or being good artist. Or if you focus on becoming a star or politician or something, of importance to you, eventually after years of practice and doing things, you get that goal. So the same thing is with spiritual practice. Eventually, after practicing for quite some time, you get there. So it's possible, it's not impossible, but it has certain requirements. And the basic requirements are something that probably you have been talking about, as the health. You have to be healthy in order to experience deeper level of functioning of your system, and and connect your functioning of your system with the intelligence of universe, because every moment we are receiving amazing quantity of information. It is basically actually available for us, but our system, because of stress that we are experiencing in our society through food pollution, air pollution, water pollution, electromagnetic pollution, etc., the disturbance of our brain functioning doesn't, or disturbed system doesn't allow us to receive that information. This is all time available. Therefore, we are partly connected with the intelligence of universe. Very little, actually. The scientists say less than 1%. Some people generously say maybe 5% of your potential that we are using. Doesn't matter how much, but it is very little. So that means our current life is based on very small potential of our human being essence. We are living very little. So that's the reason why we have so little happiness, only from time to time, because we are not living our full potential. As we are learning how to live more of our inner wealth, I would say, because being complete human being or being enlightened, being free, means living totality of life. And that's, as I said, first through health, healthy behaviors, healthy food, air, etc. And then you have to create healthy social relations. That means that you are not disturbed all the time by your peers or business, etc. And this is our job to create those relations. That's what I mean, organizing your life. When you organize your business to be supportive to your personal growth, then you have a good environment. When you organize your family to be supportive to your personal growth, then you have good time at home. And then your practice, that could be yoga or meditation or anything else, can really bring you up much faster than when you're in polluted environment and disturbed all the time. So that means organizing your daily life can bring a lot of happiness to you. And of course, we can focus on each detail, how we do it, but probably that will take many hours in future talks, when we can focus exactly how to purify or detoxify body naturally, how to use machines as you have, and how to combine those two systems and make it the most effective of both sides, technology and natural personal development through generation frequencies inside.
Last week we had Masaki with us, and well, I bought one of his orgonite pyramids. When you're talking about the EMF fields that are passing through us, these are supposed to shield or help make the signals coherent. So we got it to give it a go. Look at the quality of this thing. This is the golden one that he makes. And it looks rough, but it actually feels so lovely and smooth. And we actually got this is the shungite one that he has. Look at the size of it. It's got this shungite, ground shungite he's put on there. I mean, it's the sort of thing you'd want to show everybody, which I am anyway. This looks so good. So that's right. We're being proactive and taking steps to try and reduce the amount of harmful radiations that are passing through us. Now, you're talking a lot about what you're talking about is like an attitude thing, isn't it? It's tuning things into a positive spin. But how we all know people who they seem to be like naturally negative. Let's go to the beach. Oh, it might rain. Something like this. How does one change one's character to become more positive? What sort of steps can someone take?
That's an excellent question, because this is exactly where the problem is. Most of the people are actually experiencing problem at that point. How to switch from from one mode of operation to the other mode of operation. So that's great. It's very difficult. It's true. It's really difficult because people have desire, but that desire is not strong enough to make the change. And whatever they do, they don't experience positive results. So then I believe personally, according to my experience, that that's the place when the technology comes in, the machines. When your body, your system is not strong enough to recover at a certain point from destructive influences. For example, you have accumulated so much stress or so much toxins in the body, and whatever you start doing, it doesn't really give big impact on your moods and behaviors and thinking pattern. That means basically your frequency that you create in your brain. So that means you get into that low level of vibration most of the time, and you're not supportive to your well-being and the future. That's the time when we use the different kinds of types of technical instruments, like pyramids and different organ type of things that reduce the frequencies from the environment. But also we can use this spooky machine to detox. And I think that the detoxification is one of the most important processes for personal development. So by doing several processes, that are with machines or probably natural cleaning systems, like drinking different types of herbs, etc. So that can help you move from one pattern of functioning or one frequency of the brain that is not positive to at least slightly more positive. And over the time, we definitely have to have some willingness to do the change and desire to endure those days that are not so brilliant and not so pleasant. But it is possible, and there are many cases that you can see, and you can believe that it is going to happen to you. And if you have good guide, I would call, a person who can help you go through those different steps of development or improving your health, and if you improving your personal frequency from within, then you can get through it reasonably quite quickly and get to that bright age of a bright side of functioning in life.
How important is it to surround yourself with good people, with people that are naturally happy?
Yes, here, very, very good observation or moving the topic to that area. So that's one of the things. So we can surround ourselves, of course, with machines that can help us and do different natural treatments. But equally important is environment and also social environment. So that means changing environment helps a lot. Like getting to the place where the air is pure and the water is clean, etc. But if you do not have that option, of course, that can be long-term planning to do that in your life. But first thing is getting good friends. So because, we create frequencies on many different ways. And relations with people that we have around ourselves, starting with family, or if you're alone, starting with close friends and people that you're communicating every day, is equally important, because everybody remembers the times when he had a group of people that led him to a lot of trouble, and then at a certain point of life, something happens, he gets a new friend, or he moves to another town and gets a new friend, and the whole pattern of his life changes just because he changes the people that he's working with or playing with or having time with most of the time. So frequency of the people or happiness of the people that you are dealing all the time and their positivity have a really good influence. And this is like having a good magnets around, and they attract something. So this is what people really are. They are creating frequencies that attract certain frequencies. Magnets attracts the other magnet, and the quality of the magnet attracts that similar quality. So that's how people do. So that's why it's very important to have good friends that you not only trust, but that you have that, how to explain it, have that good feeling, really good feeling that, you know, when you meet some friend and you talk with him, and you spend hours talking something not really that important, but you get so uplifted with the talk that you forget about the time, because you get into that zone that they say, you get into the area where your mind totally expands and you feel you're yourself. There is no restriction. And that's what makes us younger. And that's what improves the health. And that's mutual for both parties. That's the kind of relation that we want. Total trust and total openness.
Yes, yes. Okay, so it's important to have good friends. What other things are needed for happiness and fulfillment, do you feel?
This is very difficult question. It's individual, you know. When I'm asked, you know, what do you need, I just say, I don't need anything. Just let me close my eyes. I enjoy. The world is so beautiful. But for different people, the answer would be definitely different.
Yes, yes.
You know, we definitely need good air, good food, good
Yes.
environment,
Yes.
and it's different for different people because we do not perceive equally our environment. Our capability to perceive the environment and needs is different. Therefore, we have to follow ourselves wherever we are. That's my suggestion usually to the people, you know, because everybody needs different things, because everybody is on different stage of his frequency development towards that unity. That unity with the intelligence of universe that we call enlightenment of freedom. So on every step we have different need to fulfill where we are and then make another step to fulfill the next need. Therefore, I always suggest just follow yourself. Just be quiet at least few times a day and feel what you need and follow that need. And it can be different at different times, but if you follow all the time, you start learning how to follow your inner nature. And that inner nature will lead you to final result. We say to unity with God or with unity with universe and unity with intelligence. Doesn't matter how we call that end goal. But it's actually the same. The names are not important.
It was 2 days ago. I did what some people, or most people do, and did the dishes. You know, we do that sometimes. And I got excited and I was very happy when I saw a little bean sprout growing out from the kitchen sink. And we fortunately got 2 kitchen sinks, one they're side by side. And so I shifted to the other side so I didn't disturb this bean sprout. But I felt so happy that a new life was coming from a place where I didn't expect it. And you'll never guess this, yesterday its mate started growing next to it. So there's now 2 growing like this twisting around. And so that I was thinking about the talk that we're going to have today, and I thought, well, what this is it's a seed for happiness. I can grow happiness from just a simple observation instead of thinking, oh, you know, it's making the sink dirty and pulling them out and throwing them away. I'm going to nurture them, Yole, and see whether I can harvest them later on. I'm not sure what plant they are. I think they're bean sprouts, but they might be something completely different. And it's just something from some food scrap that's found its way down the sink. But the important point I'm sort of making is it was like a little seed, and it made me happy for the whole morning. Would you say this is part of being happy, being observant of things around you and taking happiness from things that make, you know, that you do get happiness from?
Very great point, actually. I've been thinking about similar thing. Similar thing about life, because people do not understand the difference between constructive and destructive in the sense of between life and death. in our daily life. What is life? What are life forces? And what are destructive forces? We don't understand that point. And nurturing life in our environment, in our personal living, is the most important spiritual discipline, I would say. When we start nurturing the life force is everywhere. And when we watch the movies, the Star Wars, etc., you see obviously dark forces and light forces, but in a regular life, we don't know who is playing what role. And the role that we're playing is designed or defined by how our brain functions, how much positivity the brain can accept, how much life the brain can accept and support. So let us make it very simple. Of course, we can talk about this a long time, and this is a really important topic. But the simplest thing is what makes us feel good when we experience. Every experience that makes us feel good, it's life supporting energy. It can last, little or a little longer, or a little longer, doesn't matter how long it lasts. It doesn't need to be that big happiness that we get when we win a lottery. It's just inner feeling of good. And then, you can meet people that promise a lot of things to you. But these are the words. But after experience is not good. So that means even the promotional material is the same. They use both forces, dark forces and light forces, they use the same promotional material. We are going to support the environment. We are for your health. We are for your family, etc., etc. We are for world peace. But this is the marketing material that both forces are using. But how we can distinguish who is who is that after feeling, after taste. What happens after? And you can find out that destructive forces are using fear, punishment, and this kind of energies that are behind their promises. And light forces usually do not require anything. It's just the happiness that you get behind. So the happiness and positive results are usually the results of experiencing life force. And fear and weakness and dependence is what comes from the dark forces. And this is how you can distinguish between these two forces in your life. And that's how you can follow one way that is good for you. But that's very important to find out those little nuances that can lead to happiness in your life. This is why these little things of energy of life are so important. So good to spend as much as possible in nature for human beings, because human beings are originally part of nature. And it's not natural to be in cities within these boxes and concrete. So anytime you can get out of the city, do it.
Now, could you describe to our viewers your current location? Because you certainly aren't in a box. You look like you're in a wonderful, wonderful location.
So I'm in Yunnan. This is really what I wanted, because we want to have a school. We want to bring people to experience real life, to experience life forces. And I was looking all around China. Where is that place that I can do that? So I came to Yunnan, and I came to Dali area. And I'm now in Shijiao village. And yesterday I was actually like 100 kilometers from here in the mountains. And I think I found a really good place. It was completely original place. The nearest village was, like one kilometer from the area. And it was like a little creek going through the meadows, and the shepherd with the sheep, it was just beautiful. Such energy that was amazing. I said, this I cannot picture. The place was not possible to record, because it was energy level that you can feel, that you cannot record with camera. You just get the trees and meadow, but the energy that you feel on the place, it's just amazing. So I said, this is the place where I want to make my school, to invite people to experience what it means living in nature, what is the real experience of life.
I look forward to the invitation.
For Chinese people to get back to real roots from where we are coming, those mountain villages that are completely natural. I visited the village that is 2,000 years old, but people still live very similar life like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So I was impressed that there are still places that you can find those original people that are not spoiled by marketing, TV, etc.
Now, that's an interesting point. You say spoiled by marketing, and I guess by extension advertising, and by further extension technology perhaps. I was wondering whether we could talk a little bit more on that. What are the biggest dangers that are people that like myself living in cities? We can't avoid the technology. We can't avoid the advertising. Well, we probably can. What sort of steps can we take?
So
move out.
What I call marketing is the system that, you see, there is a knowledge of influencing customers. I've been business professional, so we study really how we can influence customers to buy certain product by color, by smell, by shape, by positioning, by words that we put in, etc., etc. There are many ways how you can influence customer to make decision to buy a product. And most of the big companies, they pay millions of dollars and invest into scientists who will research exactly how to present the product to the customers so that they get desire to buy it. So it's very, very highly invested, invested in manipulating basically human minds, how to do the things in the sales process. But this is not the end. It's done everywhere, on every level, on political, cultural, religious, etc. So we are always bombarded with the created realities by somebody else. So that means we hear the story, we see the movie, and those things are exactly prepared so that you create certain opinion, so that you behave in certain way in certain society. So I'm not talking about China, I'm talking global, about everywhere in the world, society do that to their people so that they get good citizens. Good citizens, under the quotes, that means obedient, so that system works the way it is designed to be. The only way to be yourself is really to turn of the day that you can fulfill your real inner need, to unite with your inner soul, with your inner essence, who you really are. Because psychology of human being is whatever you see, whatever you hear, that you identify with the senses, with the product of senses, that means with perception. That's human nature. This is how our brain functions. You identify with what you perceive, with what you see, what you taste, what you hear. So you're always connected with something else than yourself. That's why I teach meditation, or that's why I recommend to meditate. Means turn your senses inside and start experiencing who you really are, what you are. And that's where your strength is. That's where your identity is. When you become more who you are, you will be more difficult to be influenced and manipulated. And that's the real solution to human search, human problems, because you don't want to be something else. You want to be yourself. So human beings have to learn how to experience what they really are. And meditation, and especially good meditation and good practice, is designed for that, to return to yourself, to your identity, and to your real freedom.
Okay, so
that's very brief explanation.
Yes.
But we can organize for all people who have desire really to return to the self. We can organize some longer meetings or some more detailed courses or talks, because I enjoy helping other people to become what they are, to be happier, to be healthier, to be stronger. That's my joy.
Is it, excuse me, is it difficult to meditate?
Uh, that's exactly as if you would say, is it difficult to breathe? For most of people, it should be easy, except if you have some disease. But naturally and normally, for normal people, normally healthy people, it should be normal. You don't ever pay attention to the breathing system. So, and as you said, meditating is like being who you are. It it is actually the process of increase the joy. In the beginning, it is strange because you have never learned how to be yourself. So there is an adjustment period, when you start learning how to be self, how to return to who you are, because you have so many patterns of uh, imprinted or forced patterns of behavior and beliefs that you think you are. And then when you start becoming the self, all those dirty things that you are not start falling off. And it's really process of great joy. You start feeling your inner power, your inner peace, your inner strength, who you really are. And then the life starts changing, and then you cannot wait for meditating next time. It's become so strong and so needy. It's a great process for your life.
One thing we touched on earlier, we were talking about how through the schooling system, the formal education system, we're taught to be servants for serving the few. And to me, it's not important who the few are, but how can someone get out? How can someone escape from being a servant? It's another curly.
It's matter of readiness. I have a very good friend. I have many friends, but I have a very good friend who's a doctor. And long time ago, in my process of search and my process of development, I was young. And that was just about period of time when my mother died. And I was shifting in my mind from different realities of life, with family or without mother that was really close to me. And I got allergy. I didn't know that it's allergy. It was like a cold, like a flu. So, and I went to my friend and I said, what's this? What I should do? And she said, this is allergy. You're not sick, really. It's not real flu. There's no virus. It's allergic reaction. And I said, so what to do? And she said, you don't need to do anything. And I said, so what's this? She said, when you get fed up of this, you will overcome it yourself. So I remember that. It was so funny, when you get fed up of feeling unwell. So that's my answer. When you start feeling that it's enough of this stupidity of this life in this society that was organized these ways that you don't really respect, but you are forced to follow. You say, I really don't want to live this way anymore. Then you start thinking, okay, how I can change it. That's the time when you start switching, from that reality that is created for you, and you start looking for the solutions. And this is exactly what kind of people I like working with, because they are at that verge of awakening. They say, I don't want this system. It's not what I really want to live for. I want something better, but I don't know how to get there. So then I said, oh, I spent all my life looking for that and doing the same thing. I will help you because I did it. I went through all this stuff. So then it starts making those little changes. You start getting better food, you start getting better this, better that. And these are the little steps how you get out of these artificial realities that you don't belong. You start learning how to become yourself. and how to create your life that is independent on a mental level, on emotional level, on social. These are the things that are really, really making us free beings.
Wonderful. Home education. That was one subject that I'd also like to touch on. What are your views on home education?
Home education, did you say?
Yes.
Home education. So with my kids, I like to give them freedom to choose. So I would put them in public school. So
Yes.
they would go for 1 year in public school. And then, you know, we had the private school that was some friends from public school you want to try to see there. I mean, from private school. So then next year they would go to private school, and that was much better. And then the next year we said, okay, let us try do it home, you know. So we would go, you know, and let them experience how it looks in one way, the other way, and then we will try to do something at home. You know, we are just parents. We are not really educated to be teachers, but we would do our best. And from my point of view, I always wanted to give my kids chance to experience different things, different ways, so that they have opportunity to choose on their own. Like, you know, you try 3 different desserts, and then you say, okay, I will like this one more than this one, and so on. So this is what I'm trying to give them experience. You know, they try traveling this place, that place, and I ask them, where do you like more? So that's what we are trying to give them, to learn by experiencing different opportunities in their life. So I teach them how to do one thing and how to do the other thing, and then they choose what they like more. And of course, it doesn't need to be final decision, because we change during our lives and as we grow as a human beings, you know, and then after some time, you know, they change. You know, he says, I want to play this, you know, and after year or two, he says, no, I don't want to play anymore this trumpet, I want to play piano or something else, you know. So things are changing in life, but we allow kids to learn and follow their inner needs. And that's the most important, actually, as I can think. We give them chance to follow their inner needs and their inner curiosity. Through that, they develop the process of growth that is natural, because we are not forcing them, you have to learn mathematics, or you have to do this. Because I say, you know, you didn't learn mathematics, no. You are already, you know, 8 years and you didn't learn this and this. But I know he will have to learn it eventually, because he will need it in his life. So, and when he needs, the nature, the whole environment will press him to learn that. So I don't say, oh, now you're 10, you have to know this and this, because this is in school schedule for the kids who are 10 years old. No, I just let the life organize their learning. And then as we travel, as we do this and that, they naturally get into position to learn, you know. Now, in the beginning, they didn't want to learn Chinese. But now, as we are around, they are feeling, oh, I want to say this, I want to say that, I want to ask about this. And they ask me, you know, I want teacher now. At the beginning, they didn't want. So basically, you let the nature organize and the life organize the learning process. That's what I call homeschooling.
That's wonderful. I guess if someone wants to learn, they will learn, or certainly learn faster, wouldn't they? The information would stick.
Yeah. One of my kids is more for mathematics, and he enjoys doing things with numbers, and I let him do it, you know, because this is his inner talent, and this is his inner attraction. And the other boy, I cannot force to do that, because he's artistic. He wants to draw, he wants music, he wants the other things. And I let him do the things that are attracting him, because this is from where his enjoyment comes. And I feel awkward if I cut his enjoyment, you know, because this is the essence of life. This is why we are living, you know, be happy to. So I cannot force him to do something that doesn't make him happy. You know? Feel comfortable doing that. So this is how we try to organize our education by increased happiness. We followed the line of increased happiness. And at a certain point, he naturally gets satisfied or saturated with one thing, switch from one thing to the other thing. Because it doesn't mean to spend all life doing one thing in home education that attracts you. And actually, even if that happens in some cases, that means that there is inner natural tendency or need to do it. So we let kids do that, and he becomes really good at one certain area that he is basically predestined to do, because this is his destiny, this is his nature, this is what is strong in his inner setup. So we let him do it.
And I guess you get you get happiness from his successes.
Yeah. So that's how we do our homeschooling.
And so do you have all your children currently doing homeschooling? I guess if you're in a different area now, just
right now we don't have even other options.
No.
I like organizing community. This will be ideal. Homeschooling and community is actually ideal. If you have more people that are similar like you and have more kids, and then one parent can teach kids one thing, is good at that, and then the other parents can teach kids other things. So kids flow around and they learn from everybody whatever they can learn, because people are different, they have different skills, they have different characters, they have different approaches to different things, and kid really learns exactly what he needs, because he is attracted naturally to the people in community that have that thing that he wants at that moment. So that's why it's good to have eco communities, and that's why I'm so thrilled actually to develop more eco communities here in China, so that people can have the environment for natural development, for natural growth, or natural life.
That is another subject we were going to touch in this talk as well, wasn't it? The eco community development. If you can explain to people more about this, please.
The idea of eco communities is, I mean, the theory is much deep and wide, but let me simplify it. The idea is to get a group of people who have similar interests to live together and organize their life together. In my case, I'm always thinking of eco community of people who are looking for healthy life and natural education and personal development or spiritual development, whatever you call that. So this is what I consider eco communities. People who would like to organize their life to be happy, healthy, and free. So that's why we look for places that are in nature, that you can grow your healthy food, that you can organize healthy life for your kids. You know, that they grow in environment that has pure air, pure water, and that you gather a group of people that have similar interests. That means the same healthy living subject, and have different, of course, professions. And then we organize economy of that group of people that is basically independent of economic system, because we create values. That means I have some knowledge and I can provide that knowledge to other people for exchange of value. Either that exchange is material in the sense of I give you a class of meditation and you give me a few pounds of zucchini, you know, or we exchange it for money. Doesn't matter. We will have, or I give you a massage treatment or something like that, you know, and we exchange our goods and services. So that's kind of community that we are creating that is independent of other economic systems, because we create value that can be exchanged either for cash or for other values.
That sounds like quite an old-fashioned system. You're going back a few thousand years, but it might be a bold step forward.
It was working before this way, so why not now? And actually, we have examples of this kind of communities in the world right now, so it's possible to do, definitely.
I think
so
sorry.
Value between the other communities. That means, you know, it doesn't need to be closed economic system. because we can do business online and exchange our products and values, with all other cities and communities around the world. So that's how we exist as an independent economic system, basically, because we create value that is desirable for other people, and they pay or exchange other values with that.
I'd say, sorry. There's a bit of a delay in the audio. Sorry, Yole. I think that in such a community, it'll be very easy to be a happy person, because you'll be having discussions with people that are like-minded and open-minded, and they'll be happy themselves.
This is the main idea of these eco communities, is actually creating an environment for fastest personal development, for being yourself, or becoming the self, or becoming one with the intelligence of the universe, or become one with the nature. That's what environment we want to provide for our members. That's why we are looking for a creation of eco-villages.
And so will you be setting up such a community where you are at the moment?
Yes, this is what I'm looking here in Yunnan. And we've just found one nice place yesterday, and I think tomorrow and day after tomorrow I will be looking for another place. So we want to see, what is the best place to start with, but we are not thinking about one community. I'm thinking about hundreds and maybe thousands of communities to be modeled according to one that we will create here. And I'm thinking of creating many teachers or people who will be able to go around and create these communities for their friends and their places. Every big city should have some community somewhere nearby out of the city, wherever is good enough area for that.
That's quite a brave thing you're doing there, Yole. Very brave. I really well, I know you're going to succeed. When
I'm doing what I am. I can't do anything else.
It is remarkable. You're following your chosen path, and you're obviously getting a lot of happiness from it. Looking at your face now, yeah, it's when you find yourself and you're doing the things you want to do, and you're surrounded by people that you want to be surrounded by. What's there not to be happy about? And so you're doing.
Happiness is in creating a happy people, helping other people to become happy.
That's remarkable. So I'll just go through the checklist. We've done the natural health side and personal development, family purpose and relations, and the family economy. We were talking earlier about trying to substitute happiness for material things. The family home, healthy food and garden, home education delivery, social relations, creative work. Creative work. What would you call creative work?
Very good. Creativity is basically who we are. We are all about creating. We are born to express ourselves. By expressing ourselves, we say we create new creations, because we are never the same. I even cannot repeat my lectures. I cannot repeat my recipes. I always create new recipe whenever I start cooking something or making the desserts for kids, because they like me for desserts. I cannot repeat it because I said, I don't remember how I did it last time, but this is this time new creation. So we are creative too. We are not repetitive set systems. We are like a flow, like a river. Our brain is never the same. We are not fixed. We are not printed pictures. We are beautiful. We are beautiful creations of the divine energies, and divine intelligence. So we are changing every single second of the life. We are becoming something better or something different that can be a new music. We are music of universe. These are human beings. And this is what we are supposed to be to each other. We are supposed to be a happiness that is observed through our performance. Performance, what we are. Performance is anything we do. It doesn't need to be singing or painting. It doesn't need to be artistic, because everything we do is actually art in reality. If we are not set up, if we as a human beings are not set up in these little patterns that are created for society by society rules as little boxes. So you're an engineer, you're a doctor, you're what you call it, security guard or whatever. So we start thinking, oh, I'm this, I am to behave this way, I have to do this because I'm doctor, I have to think this way. It's nonsense. It's such nonsense, you know, restricting our human beauty and creativity and variety and range of life. They're amazing human beings. We are unbounded, actually. There is no end to our ability to create new things and to enjoy in creation of new things, you know, in relations to each other, because relations between two human beings is actually exchange of eternity. You understand? Exchanging eternity, exchanging endless beauty of universe. This is who we are, exchanging between ourselves, and this is from where joy comes from relations between two people. When the relations is restricted to a little box, it becomes boring. Then people part away. This is why this marriages stops, because people are restricted in their thinking and behavior and expectations, because they didn't get education how to be unbounded, how to become part of nature, how to be really natural. Being really natural, that means being abounded, and that means being endlessly creative. That means creating your life or your expressions every minute different ways. You know, talking with kids, talking with anybody else is an act of creation. You're creating a picture of something new. And creating new picture, you're creating new universe that is going to be next moment, and next moment, and next moment. So we are creators of our future, not only destiny. This is a phrase that everybody repeats, but nobody understands in reality. Very small, a few people understand what means creating a future. It's physical work that you do with your brain. That's it. That you do by creating a certain frequencies. And it's very physical, and it's very real. It's scientific. You can prove it scientifically. It's not just some fanciful idea that, oh, we are creators of our future. No, it's reality. We do it every moment. When we are sad, when we are unhappy, when we are angry, we create our future. We create even our body the way it is right now. So that's what I mean by creativity. That means expressing yourself really to the fullest, to the maximum. And this is why we want this communities, eco-communities, if it is proper name, doesn't matter. You know, we just use it for lack of better name. We create these communities where people can realize the fullness of life, the fullness of their creative potential, who really they are, and the fullness of their relations. So that means creativity. And when you express your creativity, there is no end to wealth creation, because you are creating all the time new value to the people around you, to your community. That means an amazing amount of wealth. That means you can exchange this creative process always with somebody, with something, and you can have anything you can imagine in your life, you know, theoretically and really physically, because people who have achieved their level of fulfillment of life, or you call it total development of human brain potential or enlightenment, they really live that way, that they are completely fulfilled. They don't need any money anymore. They have everything that they can imagine that they need. So, and even money if they need, you know, they get every project that they want, it's financed. They get any money that they need. So that's the life in total freedom. and total expression of human real potential and creativity.
When you gave the list of subjects that you'd like to talk about during the talk, there was one word that stuck out, or it stood out for me anyway. And we went through the creative work. We went to, or what you wrote was contributing and then giving. The word giving was the thing that stood out. And it made me suddenly realize that could be a great source of your happiness, your personal happiness, because you're giving to people.
Exactly. See, most of people are thinking of gaining,
yes,
of receiving. and by thinking of gaining and receiving, they are closing the door for closing the door, because when you have hands like this, you keep something. It's not open, you cannot receive because it's closed. You keep your things closely. This is mental setup, So I like to put always those couple of words like giving, creating and giving, because it's very natural for human beings. It's part of human nature. And happiness comes actually from giving, from creating. It's very natural for us to create new values because it is expression of life. Life expresses itself by creating, by multiplying, doing something new, making flowers. Flowers are expression of divine intelligence in the fields, and humans are also divine flowers, another way, So humans can also express itself through new creations, and those new creations, because they are abundant, they don't need to keep for themselves, because they can, like spring, the water comes and comes again and more and comes. Springs always give more and more water. So humans are like that. They're springs of divine energy or divine intelligence or cosmic intelligence. Doesn't matter how we call that. And that intelligence flows through different ways or different channels of expression. Either music or stories or some technical discoveries that are useful, etc., etc., etc. There are many channels of expressions of human creativity. And these are all channels of giving. So each community that I'm talking about is community of givers. Community where people are gaining happiness by giving, by creating. Because, my wife says, oh, here we don't have people to invite to give. When we are traveling, you come first time to some place, and you don't know many people, because we love to invite people to come for dinner, and then we share some nice food. We say this is organic, and this is from our garden, and this is this, and this is that. And people enjoy trying it, and and then next time they say, oh, we have to invite you to try our things that you have to see how we create our food, etc. So this is sharing of new creations in one way, just through food. Because food is most easier way of communication, because people like to eat and then they gather about food is a reason for communicating and they're getting together. But there are, of course, many different ways to express, giving and sharing. So this is what I mean when I say, then you will be able, in these communities, you will be able to express yourself, to create, and to share with other people the same way.
That's wonderful. Oh, we're so lucky to have you on board. Yole, thank you for the talk. We've come to the end of our show. I think we're going to have you back again, because there's several things we touched on lightly, and I'd love to go into more depth. But we've been listening to Yole Raam. He's been generous with his time and come on board and taught us all a thing or two about happiness and fulfillment and life. Well, life, the universe, and everything, really. So thank you so much for coming and talking to us. That's the end of our summer show. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Sharing is our nature, so we have to do sharing, expressing our love.
Thank you.
All the
Thank you,
best.
Yole. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for inviting me.